Hello, Rogue Valley, and welcome to A Focus On. I'm Julia Babb, your host. I'm back today with Dan Lehner and Joey Dalcin, who are collaborating on a really ambitious art project called Poetry for Peace. And we're going to start off with Dan is going to read us a couple of poems, and then we'll kind of get into the whole explanation of how the piece came together and where it's going.
All right. So you can play the guitar. All right, we'll start with Dreaming Beauty. All right. This one's called Dreaming Beauty. All that is and all that was is held together by all that dreams, the breath of beauty, the breath of truth. All that is and all that was is held together by the sacred breath, by the sacred breath. Into infinity, dreaming beauty. Goddess of infinity, goddess of energy, one with infinity, one with infinity.
Excellent. Let's do one more.
One more take of the same poem?
No, let's
another poem.
Let's do the next one. Yeah. And this is Forever One.
Forever One, yeah. This one's for all the refugees of the world, especially the children. Blame the victim, stone the refugee, crucify the heartbroken, token of the modern world, sacrament of the new religion. As the angels sang the love for all, as the Creator remembers the heart in all. Burn us, stone us, desecrate the holy creation. And yet, this universe is all love. Forever, we are children of God, sons and daughters of the earth, blessed creatures of oneness. Peace on Mother Earth. Peace on Mother Earth.
Excellent again. These are beautiful. And these are the poetry, the poems that kind of inspired your artistic collaborator to come up with these portraits. So I wonder if you'd talk a little bit. Let's take it back to the beginning. What the heck? How did you two meet?
Well, we kind of met through a mutual friend, Myrna. And I originally showed her the poetry, and then she showed the poetry to Joey, and then we were working together, trimming, making money, and then we started talking about it, and then so then we started to give it a try, you know.
Cool, yeah.
So by that point, I've been in a relationship with Myrna. So Myrna is not my wife, and she's been a big part in this whole process, and in helping me as an artist. But before Myrna, I had met you at the co-op maybe like 4 years before, and I briefly told you that I did some art.
Oh yeah.
So you were kind of on each other's radar slightly, but you were kind of like, you know.
But yeah, she had planted the seed like this is such a jumped timeline. Like there's so many different instances and years passing, months passing, but eventually there was a time span, like probably about a year ago, where Mirna and me met Dan again by the co-op, like many times after we first met, and she brought up the idea, like, let's all collaborate, let's do something. So at first it wasn't clear what that was going to be. It was like, let's do music, let's do art, let's do performance, let's do activism, let's do something. And
So you found a way to do all of it.
First we did music. First, like the guitar aspect of what we did, that was the first thing that we did. We also tried some video, but I don't know much about editing, so I...
That's right, I forgot that. Yeah, first we were doing it to music.
But then I remember there was a moment we were working together on a farm, and Dan asked me if I could do a protest poster for you. And I said, I could do it. So I make this like mock-up protest poster, and
killer poster.
Yeah, like I put a day into it, and Dan's like, "Oh, this is so awesome!" And I was like, "Dude, this isn't anything. Like, let me show you what I can do." So I did the first piece of art to his poem "Forever One," and at that point, I think he saw it and was really impressed by it and really liked what I had to portray visually.
The poster he did too was protesting what's going on the border.
Sure.
It's called One People, and that's what the poster was about.
So you wrote the poem, you heard the poem, it created a vision?
Yes, okay, so the process of making the art for Dan's poems is a little bit more direct and inspired, almost like instantly inspired, as opposed to the other art that I've done before, which was more like on a person-to-person basis, interviewing, thinking, compiling information, and a longer-lasting process. With the process I've had with working with Dan's poems and his poetry, is that he'll tell me the next poem that he wants to have drawn, and I'll have him read the poem to me a few different times, and on the second or third time, after really feeling it, I'll almost just get a picture in my head right away of what it needs. Like I rarely ask him what to do. It's almost as if I know what I got to do. Like I hear it and I know what I need to say.
Well, and I think that's a hallmark of a successful collaboration, is that you trust each other, and that you know that the other person knows what they're doing, and pull it all together, and there it is. And I'm wondering, tell us more about the vision.
Oh, I've always wanted to, get my book of poetry out with some art, because I feel like just words, it's kind of boring, like not everybody's into reading for one, so maybe they just want to look at the picture and then later on read it, even though my poems are very simple, so yeah, I want to try to put like maybe 50 poems and then have 50 of his pieces of art to go with it. To it's kind of a protest poetry, to bring up social justice and all that.
Just to raise the conscious awareness of any language-speaking person, or person, even if they can't read, if they just want to look at the pictures, they might get it too. But the idea is that we create a piece of art, or I create a piece of art for each one of his 50 poems. We show the art. We try to sell the art as a way of raising funds to fund the making of more art. And eventually they'll all get done, at which point we'll put the art on one page and design a book where it's art on one page and the poems on the other. But since the poems are vertical, I think we reached the idea at a certain point that we could have multiple translations of the poems on each page.
Yeah, bilingual would be cool.
Bilingual, but like we figured we could have up to 6 translations on each page. Oh
yeah.
Yep, that'd be cool.
And
yeah, because the words I use are real basic and universal. So.
No, and I got to say, as a person who I would rather hear a poem than read it, but seeing the two together, having the image and the text, and because the text is, well, it is easier to read. I pick it up more. I think.
Yeah.
The interesting thing I was thinking the other day about this was like how the two forms of art feed each other in this project. I mean, I think your message overall is kind of heightened. How am I going to say this? The artwork that you do is supported and uplifted by the artwork that the other person is
Complements
doing.
each other. Yeah.
Thank you.
My feeling
I
is
forget
that
my words. You know.
the feeling I have is through the synthesis of the two, there's a space created, like almost a sacred space where people can be vulnerable to realizing the impact of what we're saying, or the impact of what's really happening in the world, which a lot of his poems are talking about, just what's going on in the world today. And also the providing that space to create the vulnerability for a person to really be able to safely open up and decide almost in that moment, like, wow, I'm going to make a change for the better, or I'm going to align myself with the positive forces of the world and try to do something good, whatever that is, like on any level. So,
Very good.
we hope the more people see it, like having it in multiple languages, like, you know, people might speak different languages throughout the world, have different alphabets, maybe even different cultures, but through the common strand throughout every place and every language and every culture is that everyone has a heart, and the poetry goes to the heart, the art goes to the heart, art's in heart, the word, right?
And I like to add also that we're just adding to the resistance that's going on worldwide right now. We're just one little drop in the ocean. Like a lot of people are resisting right now all this insanity that's going on that, you know, that's not being covered by the major media sources, you know, but it's going on.
Right.
You know, like Standing Rock, that's just one thing.
Sure.
You know, that's going on worldwide, and a lot of artists do care and are putting out a lot of good music and a lot of writing about important things, whether it's being covered or not. So we're just adding to that movement of the resistance against the rise of fascism, basically, and the continuing destruction of our planet. We're just adding to that. Anyways.
Yep. I think that's really good. I think that's super important, and I'm really deeply appreciative that the piece is you know, exists for one thing, and it's in the public eye right now. It's over at Awake Cafe, and how did you get in there? Like I need to ask.
Julia.
Julia.
So actually, we're in Awake Cafe in almost majority part because of Julia.
Nah.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I mean, we had to make the work, but
Right.
I was going into the Metaphysical Library at their old location by Safeway, and I'd been working on the project with Dan for maybe a few months by that time. I had like 6 or 7 done. And I just, I think I walked in and I saw Grandmother Aggie, like a 13 Indigenous grandmother's book on the shelf, and I was like, oh, that reminds me, like I did a piece like this for the project. And then I was like, wait, maybe I could ask somebody here. Like maybe they know. So I asked Julia, I was like, Julia, do you know anybody who might be interested in this project or in a gallery who might want to show this work? And she said, go talk to Connie, Connie McGonigal, who's opening up the Awake Tea and Espresso at the time. She has the espresso shop by the mobile gas station.
Oh, the little, it's called Hot Stuff, down by, just across the highway, Clover Lane, something.
Cool,
I think.
yep. So I went there and I brought her a piece and I told her, like, oh, Julia told me to come down and talk to you, and here's what we got. And she said, yes, I like it.
Very good.
And so then from that point on, I spent the next couple months just trying to get as much done as I could.
Yep.
And then we made the show, and it's been up, and
Excellent.
many
Yeah.
things have happened, and now we're here on TV.
Now we're on TV. That's great.
Yeah, we made it.
Yeah. We're big time now.
Thank you very much, Julia.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
a lot of this wouldn't
Well,
happen
you
without
know,
you, without your word.
It's purely selfish reasons. I like to surround myself with, the good work, and that's, I'm super glad she brought you in, and I think the piece, people need to go see it. TV is wonderful, but being in front of the pieces and being able to read them silently in your own head and look at them at the same time and look at the pieces and consider, read the poetry. It's just, there's nothing like it. I was immediately drawn to that stuff, immediately. And there's a sensitivity to it that's, it's not that common.
Cool.
So,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thanks.
it's really, really fine work. And I think we've got, I think the work is going to stay there for a while, right? So definitely people should go down and take a look at it, and spend some time with it in its 3D-ness, because that's, I think, one of the more compelling things about it. It reaches off the wall toward you. It wants to involve you. So I guess, what does the future hold? What is up for, what do you plan for this project going forward?
Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully we'd get 20 more pieces done and we get the book together and we get published.
Yeah.
And then, try and collaborate with other things going on in the world, try to reach out to.
I guess in the short term right now, we're trying to figure out avenues of funding to get the rest of it funded, to make the arts like full-time work, like 50 hours a week. Also social media campaigns, like learning how to work that, and also just spreading the word about it now that it's like actually starting to come together. I think it's gonna be up to everyday people to donate or to spread the word with their friends. We're gonna have a GoFundMe campaign.
You do have a GoFundMe?
Mhm.
I think that'll be on the...
Yeah, and then I think it'll be really special when the word starts getting out. We've kind of been like keeping it low key just to get the art finished and get it to a point where like we feel comfortable to present it, or like that's maybe my end. Dan's poems are there and they're really good already. So, and then as it slowly starts to reach people, I'm just going to decide a point to drop the campaign, to put it out and try to get all my friends together and my family members who are social media or tech savvy or just kind-hearted, and have them just spread it out. Just Instagram, Facebook, all the different ways.
But right now you have a blog.
Yeah, right now we have a blog. It's poetryforabetterworld.blogspot.com.
Okay. Poetry for a Better World, blogspot.com.
Blogspot.com.
And then you also, what is the GoFundMe? Do you remember what that? I think we're
I don't
going to have
remember.
it. We're going to have it
Yeah.
on the there.
I don't remember that
There we
yet.
go. There's the Poetry for a Better World
Nice.
blogspot, and then there's the GoFundMe. So
Yay.
so people get your pencils, write that down. So there is a little bit of controversy concerning the pricing of it, and I'm
Really?
not huge controversy, but
That's what I was saying, though.
you
Geez.
started out
In the beginning.
Yeah,
Well,
it was
so-
interesting though, because you bring up all these questions about like what is an artist's time worth,
Well,
and you're putting
it's more like-
$15,000 up there, and I'm like, right on,
Well,
dude.
it's like this. Well, okay. All right. So, I don't know. I mean, there's two ways of looking at it. There's art that your friends can buy, which you make with the intention of, oh, I'm gonna make it. I care about this person, and whatever they can pay for it, that's fine. I want to do it. And then there's art that's trying to make a statement, and most of that art today, like, and I'm definitely generalizing, being kind of broad here, but a lot of modern art, like, not that technically interesting, but just, like a black canvas with a dot on it, goes for like $85 million. And it's going for that much because someone has a name. I'm serious, someone's got a name, and it's up in some establishment at Sotheby's or something, and people in nice, like, I don't know, designer brand clothes are there with, looking all sharp with their cars, and that's part of their culture, and they have no problem putting down that much money because it's nothing to them. And so I'm here and I'm thinking, well, what do we actually need to get the rest of these poems done? How much time is it going to take? Okay, it's going to take 8 months of everyday work. Okay, like, what if, as an artist, what are my expenses for 8 months? And it's like, well, $18,000 to $25,000 if I work full time, like if I'm going to give myself minimum wage or a little bit more. And so literally it was like, okay, let's price these pieces so that if someone were to buy it, they would fund the project.
Yep.
So each piece essentially was like, okay, you buy this piece, you fund this portion of the project. You buy another piece, you fund the formatting of the book, and you buy the next piece and you fund the self-publishing aspect of it and getting 10,000 copies made, or I don't know, that maybe 500 or 1,000 copies made, or whatever it might be.
So I could sponsor page 36 if I wanted.
You could. I mean, I guess through the GoFundMe, we're going to try to have maybe different options, like where if you donate this much, you could have your portrait in one of the pieces, or you can have yourself in the poem or something.
Oh, or interesting.
We'll try to figure out different ways to involve people, but.
No, but that's I really like your answer, because that is a really big thing. What is it worth? What is my time as an artist?
I've had people get like angry at me for putting it that.
I know.
Yeah, like I was at I was kind of wondering, and like I think Dan for a second was like, "Oh, dude, what are you doing?" And I was like, "No, it's worth it. Like, trust me." And like the concept, the ideology of it is good. I mean, since we've lowered the prices, they're still like $3,000 or $4,000. But it's like, I mean, even if I were to think the amount of time that I put into it, okay, I put 3 months into it.
Yep.
Put a lot of time, like 3 months straight, and we're still trying to fund the project. So it's like, okay, like there's other pieces in the gallery too that are going for that much or around that. So it's like, okay, like it's up at the higher end of things, and it's incorporating with the price structure here. Cool.
I mean, I stopped by and Connie said you had adjusted the prices, but I did want to mention that because it's like it's
That's
a
a good
very
point.
interesting discussion, and I think you brought it up, and I'm really interested. I thought it was very interesting that people got pissed off and upset.
Not a lot of people, just a couple people.
I know.
I mean, maybe more. Like, I mean, I've only been in there a few times, but I've been in the coffee shop more than that. But in the beginning, when it was first up, I would go in there a little bit just to see the reactions of people, and like every now and then, like someone would be like, "Whoa, do you see that? Like, I don't understand." Like some people would actually grab at it, like, "What is this?" And actually, to the person that did that, I approached them and I asked them, like, "What was your response just then?" And I got like people saying, "Oh, you know, like, I get like you're trying maybe to raise something or this, but seriously, like this much, like, do you know that nobody could afford that? Like, you're putting it in a time of scarcity in the American public." And I'm like, well, that might be your opinion, but like, and I told him the same thing I told you. I was like, there are people who are putting out black canvases with the dot on it for $85 million.
Banksy.
Why can't I put something for sale for $25,000?
Yeah.
And like, you know, no offense, but the town we live in, Ashland, like, you see those houses in the hills. Like, some of those houses are millions of dollars. Who's to say some of those people might not come down and check it out and say, wow,
well,
I want to put my money to a good cause.
Yeah.
Because it is a really good cause.
Yep.
Trying to unify people here.
Yep. No, I think that I hope they do, and if they don't, well, if they do, and then other people who can't afford to, like, or who don't want to spend that kind of money on a,
you can get prints
you
through
can get,
our blog.
You're going to do prints.
Yep. We have a print link at our blog. They're $40 or $50 a piece.
The blog spot. Very good. Well, I want to thank you again for being here. It's been really a blast to find out more about this project. I hope more people consider doing. Collaborations. I think it's a really good way to work. I think it forces you to be creative, more creative than you would be just if you were isolated by yourself, doing your own thing, not letting anyone else in. But I think it's really good to see how the two of you working together has been, I don't know, it just has made the artwork more complex and interesting to look at. And, you know, definitely people go down to Awake Cafe, 1757 Ashland Street, and check it out for yourselves. Do not take my word for it. course, I would never lie to you, but thank you again for being on the show today, Dan and Joey. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure being here.
So you've been watching A Focus On with our friends Dan and Joey, talking about their art and their project Poetry for Peace. And we'd like to thank Southern Oregon University for their support of Rogue Valley Community Access Television, because it's important too. And extra special thanks to Wanda Borland, our producer, and her all-volunteer crew.
Yay, thank you.
So
Thank you,
I
guys.
am Julia Babb, signing off once again for A Focus On. Good night.